welcome back to another video. Hope everyone is really well. I'm going to be answering the #1 question that I always get, which is what do I do for a living? How do I afford stuff? How do I afford luxury stuff? I'm going to tell you about that. And then I'm going to move on to how you can start up your own business, and that part of the question is linked to what it is that I do. So I am a marketing consultant. That's what I do in the day. I work from home. I have worked in marketing for 9 years in November this year, and I've always worked for marketing agencies, ad agencies, so anything from like websites to apps to digital strategy, digital consultancy, branding. I've got a product, how do I get people to find it? And then when they're there on the website, how do I get them to buy it? That sort of thing, like all under one umbrella is what I've always worked on. I've always set myself goals, and I had this one goal. I wanted to be director by the time I was 30. And I actually managed it by the time I was 27. So I was really, really pleased. But after doing that for a few years, I just thought, what is my next step gonna be? And for me, I felt that I was ready to do this job on my own. So last March, I quit, set up my own business, and that's what I now do. I work from home doing the stuff that I was doing before for agencies, and I do it from home. There are 5 things that I followed to set up my own business and to make it a success. And I just need to caveat that the things I'm talking about, I'm just giving you these bits of advice from my point of view. I'm not like a financial expert, I'm not a business expert, and I'm also talking about this from the point of view of UK law and the way you have to run a business in the UK. It may be different where you are, but I'm hoping that the 5 fundamental things are going to help you. The first thing is experience, and this might sound really, really obvious, but that is the bedrock to that is the only reason why I've been able to do what I do, is because of the experience that I've got. So for example, let's imagine that you want to start up your own clothing line. A really good place to start would be to get a job for a retail brand. And I'm not necessarily talking about working on the shop floor, I'm talking about working like in the head office, where you would learn things like pricing. How do you price something? How do you work out who your customer is and work out who your demographic is, and therefore know how to design for those group of people and how to make the price relevant to that group of people? Supply chain, massively important. How do you find good suppliers? I've got this all the time. Like, I use suppliers for what I do, from the point of view of, like, sometimes if I'm really busy, I outsource bits of work. And how can you find someone that's going to be good, that's going to deliver, that's going to have a price that you can equally mark up and pass on to the clients? Plus as well, you might end up doing this job and you might think to yourself after a couple of months, I really thought I wanted to do this, but I actually hate it and it's not what I want to do. So that is another reason why getting some experience, learning on the job, pick the brains from those that you work with, your boss, find out what it is that they know, find out how it is that they've got to where they are. Learn the basics of running a business, things like profit and loss, things like profit versus revenue. They are all things that you're going to need for when you do your own business. Second up, and you need to test your idea. Think to yourself, who is your customer? Who is going to buy this product or service? Have a look at your competition. Are there already businesses out there doing the same thing? If the answer is yes, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but you need to think about what is your USP, what is your unique selling point? What is it that's going to be about you and your product that's going to make people buy your product over the competition? What's going to make you stand out? Are you going to beat it on price, on quality, on design, on service? Whatever it is that you are looking to deliver, you need to find something that makes you a little bit different. Do you need to get investment? Do you have an idea that requires a lump sum amount of money in order for you to even be able to get it off the ground? There's a couple of different ways that spring to my mind that you can do this. I've never needed to get investment because for my business it's like me and my laptop and my brain, but if you've got a product that you need money to actually create in the first place, you can seek. There are people out there that literally they just want to invest in businesses. There's a couple of ways you can do it. When I went to my bank to set up my business bank accounts, they can very often help you with it, but also like do a web search. There are different investment organizations out there that can help you with that. If you want to do something like, if you don't need like so much money but you need a bit, think about things like Kickstarter. That is like an online tool. I think it's run by like Amazon or something. Is it Amazon? Maybe it is. And you can basically put in there a budget that you're trying to get an amount of money for, and then people, if they like the idea enough, can sort of donate money towards it, and that can be a really great way of doing it as well. Talk about testing. It's also about testing the market. To give you an example of how I tested the market, I was already doing my day job and I built up clients outside of work on the side, and I was delivering little bits of work for them at the beginning, in my weekends, like in my evenings. And that's another thing, if you're gonna do this, be prepared to like give up your time, because it's really easy to look at someone who's got their own business. Like, even I used to do it. I'd see, there's a couple of people I can think of who've got their own business, and I'd see them every so often in the week, like driving around in their car, going out for a lunch. But actually I've really learned that the unfortunate truth of it is it's very lonely, and you don't get weekends, you don't really get evenings. You have to put in so much effort and time, particularly in the beginning. Like for me, I don't have any staff at the moment, so I'm literally making the tea, taking stuff to the post office, going to meetings, trying to bring in new sales. I'm doing the whole thing. So you need to be a little bit of a jack of all trades in the beginning. Also, when you're at the testing phase, if you, like for me, I don't have a product, I deliver a service, but let's say you've designed something, a post-it note. You've got this idea for post-it notes. One thing that is really key when you're in your testing phase is you might have a really good idea, but very often, not all the time, but sometimes you might find that somebody else has had the same idea, and it's just maybe that they haven't had the money to advertise the product. So if you come up with an idea, you need to make sure you do your due diligence, have a look, see whether somebody else is already doing it. And if your idea is actually unique, if nobody else has patented it, definitely get it patented. So let's say you've designed the first post-it note in the world ever, you can go and apply, and you have to apply for patenting laws in different countries, but that basically protects your design. It stops people from copying it. Plus as well, definitely get patents before you start approaching suppliers, because if you're going to different suppliers, maybe manufacturers, they will be the first people, trust me, they'll be the first people to see this great idea, and if you haven't got it patented, if you haven't got it protected, they will be the first people to go and produce that item and then try and sell it themselves. So make sure you've got that protection. In level 3 is taking your concept to market. Let's say you've done your testing, you've got this idea, you're feeling good, you've got your experience, you know the basics that you're needing to do to get this company off the ground. The next thing you need to do is you need to think about, do you set up a company or do you work as a sole trader? Now, I don't know how this works in other countries, but in the UK, when you quit your job and you're going to go and work, if you're going to work for yourself, you can either set up as a sole trader, which just means that you're not like a business, it's just you basically, or you can set up a company. I would actually say only set up a company if you are really sure that your idea is going to work. The way you set up companies in the UK is it's pretty easy. You go to Companies House, you just put them into the internet, you go there, you think about your company name. Very often, a lot of them are taken, so you need to like think of something that's a little bit different. Set up your company and then you're ready to rock and roll. Now, if you're going to set up a company, be aware that you are required by law to supply various things, like you've got to supply your files, all of your books, like once yearly. And if you don't do it, you're going to get yourself into quite a lot of trouble. So it is, once you've undertaken that responsibility, you're in it for the long haul, and closing down a company can also be a bit messy as well. So I would say that only set up a company if you're really sure that it's going to work. I would actually say go sole trader first and then set up a company once you get it on the ground. Think about insurances. It doesn't matter really what it is you do. I would say in most occupations, it's good to get liability insurance. So let's say you are opening up a cafe. Think somebody could like slip and fall over and like smash their face in and try and sue you for it. If you've got a piece of jewellery, someone could like say that the jewellery's like, you know, hurt them in some way, and again they might want to sue you. Now, insurances can be quite expensive and the prices of them change depending on the sector. Also think about your bookkeeper and your accountant. Again, I don't know if this is like a UK thing, but obviously you need an accountant anyway, but in the UK we have a bookkeeper and we have an accountant. The bookkeeper is generally someone who they don't charge as much as an accountant, and they deal with all of your receipts, all of like your general queries. They just basically collect up your receipts, put all of your books together and then send it off to the accountant each quarter. And then finally think about staff. Do you need staff? Depending on what it is that you're doing. Like for me, I didn't need staff right at the beginning, and even right now, although I'm very busy and I could probably do with someone, I'm at a position where I can do it all myself, and it does mean that I have to work literally 7 days a week. Not everyone makes profit in the first year either, so don't worry about that. Like for me, I had all of my setup costs, like buying the equipment that I need to do my job, like my insurances, all of that I lumped into my first year, so my profits aren't going to be as much as they hopefully going to be as I like ramp up the business. But you also need to look at doing a 5-year plan. So a 5-year plan is basically, what do you think you're going to grow your business to over the next 5 years? And it's sort of like navel gazing, but it can be really, really good to do that. I would really actually recommend that you do it. And that could be everything from, like, if you're using suppliers, how much do you think that you can get them to eventually give you in savings on products or services that you're buying? Just what savings do you think you can make? How much do you think your business is going to grow in the next 5 years? Point number 4 is you are ready to roll. Get started, get your head down, get the work coming in. For me, my first year has been, I'm just over my first year now, it's been a massive learning curve. It's been quite lonely at times. I also took the opportunity. I was already thinking about it previously, but sort of at this point in my business, I started to think about how am I going to get customers to come and find me. You need to think about this as well. Are you going to get yourself a website, an app? Are you going to do some online advertising? Influencer marketing is also a really good thing. Like, let's say you're designing, I don't know, jewelry or makeup or something like that. Influencer marketing can also be really good, and you do need to budget for it because times are changing, and if you want to work with good influencers, not everyone will do it for nothing. So you do need to have like a little bit of a budget for it, and pick people that are relevant to your product. Maybe even like gift them things to get them to talk about it that way. And my final point I want to add, my number 5, is don't get down. If it doesn't work, it does not matter. It's the fact that you've tried is the main thing. Staying organized is also a really important thing to success. I run spreadsheets that I update daily, and in those spreadsheets it's got all of my monies coming in, all of the money going out, just so that I can see month on month exactly what the profit or loss is for the business. That's also going to make your life a hell of a lot easier when you get to the point where you have to supply things to your bookkeeper, because you've already got like a bit of an understanding of where you stand in things. So they are my 5 tips. I hope that this has helped. As I say, I'm not a business expert, as you can probably tell. I'm just someone who had an idea and I felt like I was at a point where I could actually make it work. And touch wood, so far it's good. And I really wanted to share this with you because I get so many of you email me saying, I've got an idea and I saw your video and I know you work for yourself, like how did you do it? And I'm just hoping that these 5 tips that I've followed will help you. Any questions at all, write them below in the comments and I will go through and answer them. Thank you so much for watching. Come and join me in the next video. I'm gonna link to it in that like little white circly thing there. Click on it and I'll see you in a few minutes.